last week I posted an opportunity. It was a 3-family home. So in the caption I said, it was on my story. I said, you could live in this home, have your mortgage paid for, and profit $1,000 a month. Like DM me if you're interested. And I got 15 solid buyer leads just from that one Instagram story.
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Hey, Real Estate Rockstars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui, and I'm interrupting myself to bring you this commercial break from one of our sponsors. And I know you guys would much rather listen to the content and not the ads and not the sponsors, but this is one that I'm actually super, super excited with. You know, so many of the realtors that we interview on the show, they talk about how much systems are important and how much follow-up is important. And I'm really, really excited about our new sponsor. There's somebody I've been looking at for a long time. And when they reached out to me, I said, yes, we have to be able to do this deal. So that sponsor is Follow Up Boss. You know, on an interview last week with agent Mark McGuire, I asked him what his favorite software and what his favorite system was. And he said it was Follow Up Boss. And then he went on for another 3 or 4 minutes to talk about why Follow Up Boss was the best CRM he uses. So there's a lot of superstars out there that use Follow Up Boss. Some of the stats they gave me: Robert Slack, 1.5 billion team in Florida, #1 in the US. He uses Follow Up Boss to get a 400% ROI on his massive paid lead spend. Deborah Beagle, co-owner of the Ashton Group in Nashville, uses Follow Up Boss to guarantee that agents who join her team get 2 homes under contract in the first 90 days. That's a big guarantee for new agents. Barry Jenkins of Your Friends in Real Estate uses Follow Up Boss to automate everything so his team can produce $200 million on 25-hour work weeks. All right, so here's an offer. You guys are going to get this special for being Real Estate Rockstars listeners. Now, I've used Follow Up Boss. We've actually used it in our non-real estate businesses as well because it's so good at being able to set timers, set automatic texting and emailing, and what do you know? Best name ever, Follow Up. So here's what we got. For Real Estate Rockstars listeners, you get a 30-day free trial. That's normally 14 days. So in order to get this, you go followupboss.com/rockstars. So again, followupboss.com, just like it sounds, /rockstars. Go there, get your 30-day free trial and check it out. Especially if you aren't using any systems or any CRMs yet, this will be a great one for you to start with. All right, everybody, thanks again. Now back to our show. Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. I'm super excited today. It's been a while since I got to do a 30 under 30 episode. Today I get to interview Courtney McManus. Courtney's from Milford, Connecticut. You know, she's part of Yellow Brick Real Estate. She's got a team called Making Moves that she's been building out there, and she must be making moves if she hit the 30 under 30 this year. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate for 5 years now. So straight out of college.
Straight out of college. What made you want to get into real estate?
I mean, I saw the opportunity, right? I was on my way to law school. You know, I had taken the LSAT, gotten into law schools, got scholarships to some law schools. And now I was at the part where I was, trying to get those student loans taken out. And it was going to be about $250,000 of student loans. And it was a hard pill for me to swallow, but I realized, I was taking out those loans just to tell people I was going to law school. I wasn't excited to actually go to law school. I just wanted to tell people that I was going to law school. So it was a hard pill for me to swallow. And I had to really take a step back and kind of explore my options, right? So in Connecticut, it's a very small state. So as I was kind of looking around, I said, no one my age is getting into real estate right now. Who is going to be the person that is really up and running in Connecticut selling real estate in a couple of years when all of these people retire? So for me, I have no family in the field at all. It was really just an opportunity that I saw in my area that I decided to jump all over before someone else saw that opportunity and did exactly what I wish that I had done.
Yeah. Dude, it's very cool that you had essentially got your degree got your bachelor's degree, got accepted to law school, because yes, that's a very prestigious thing, right? Like, no, I got accepted to law school, I'm going. And for you to have kind of the awareness that you could say, I'm actually not really that excited about it. And hey, that loan is actually a lot of money. Most people take out loans without thinking about having to pay it back, or without thinking about the actual expense of it. And then you being able to look around and actually just see an opportunity. Because, people do well when they find those opportunities. You saw the opportunity, say, wait, there's nobody like me doing this business. And whether it's real estate or whether it's something else, there's no one like me doing this business. I can be unique. That is very, very cool. So how did you get accepted to 30 under 30? You must be doing big things.
So that was like one of my first goals. When I first got into real estate, I had so much passion, so much motivation. And someone had said to me like, oh, you really strike me as someone that could be like a 30 under 30 honoree. And I was like, what's that? I didn't even know what it was at the time. So I was like, let me look into it more. And it instantly became a huge goal of mine. I mean, when I first started in the industry, I just turned 22 years old. So I was like, all right, I got 8 years to get this done. This is going to be my number one goal. And then, from there, we'll take it from there and see what happens. But it was, a goal that I worked at for 4 consecutive years. I applied every single year. Every single year I was working on getting my volume up, seeing what I can do to better myself as an agent, not just number wise, but relationship wise, networking wise, just making a name for myself in the industry, so that when those voting polls came out, I had enough ranting and raving fans for Courtney McManus that were willing to go and vote for me every single day. I realized very quickly how relationship driven this industry is. And if you want to get from point A to point B, you can't do it on your own. It really does take a village. So I started to realize the importance of relationship building. And that was how I was going to get myself to where I wanted to be on the 30 under 30 platform.
Yeah. I love the fact that you had like that goal right away and then tried to come up with like, what's the strategy? What's the plan to get there? And realizing how many parts go to that puzzle. Just like you said, like anything, it wasn't just about volume. You also had to like treat people with kindness. You also had to build these relationships. And have you always been really good at goal setting? Because like coming out of college and then saying, hey, I want to do that, having that be a goal and working toward it every year. It's not a common thing, I think, at 22. So have you always been really good at that? Did you learn something along the way that made goals a big part of what you focused on?
I've always kind of been the first person to acknowledge like, hey, if somebody can do it, then so can I. In college, I'll never forget when I first started college for politics, and it was a giant room. Teacher had me stand up in front of everyone and tell them what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was a freshman in college at this point, and I said, I want to be president of the United States. And everyone in the room they were all dying laughing at me. The teacher was laughing at me. But in my mind, I was like, why can't I be president of the United States? Someone else is president of the United States right now. If it's possible to get done, I don't see why I personally can't do it. As long as I find the right route to get there and, get the right tools, provide myself with the right, tools just to get to where I want to be. I think anything's really possible. And I think that's where a lot of people fail is they put limits on themselves and they think and they say to themselves, well, I could never do that. When I first, came up with the idea I wanted to be a real estate agent, my family themselves, they all laughed at me. They were like, Courtney, it's not that easy. You can't just go into sales. So it really was having the, knowing that I had it in myself and really having the motivation behind it to say, listen, if someone else can do this, why can't I? And not taking no as an answer. I mean, I know you can't see it on here, but I'm 5 feet tall. I'm a very small girl too, as well. So when I come to people and I say, I want to be the president of the United States, they would look at me like I was crazy, but I used it more as motivation to fuel that because I know that it's possible. I know now if I want to be the president of the United States, it's still possible if I take the right routes to get there. I think anything is really possible if you just, can break it down to, okay, this is where I am now. This is where I want to be. What do I need to do to get there? And I think just surrounding yourself around people that are already doing it makes a really big difference, especially for someone that's 22, brand new in the field, doesn't have any family in the industry to give you a handout. What are your next options? So you really have to be realistic about it and not just play the victim role and say, oh, I don't have anyone to help me. You can always find people to help you and help get you where you want to be. It's just surrounding yourself by the right people and identifying, where you are now and where you want to be. Yeah.
I love that when it comes to goal setting, it's always best with setting like setting this crazy goal, right? And so many times if people start with the process, it's really hard to imagine where they can be. But if they set these big dreams and go, hey, what if I could do 100 million in volume, or whether I could have $100 million company of this, or whatever it is business wise, start with that big goal and then back into it, and be able to back into it and figure out the steps. And then everything does start to become possible. What was your first year look like? Like, when you first got your license, how'd you get your first deal? What was that process?
So my first year was tough. I started at one company, I started on a team, and I just wasn't getting as much, help as I need. I was able to at least acknowledge what I needed to get me where I wanted to be. And I just wasn't getting it from that team. So my first year was really just learning the basics, kind of where I didn't even know what a mortgage was when I first started real estate. I didn't know what an appraisal was. So it was really learning the basics and being able to acknowledge like, hey, I'm new. I don't know this. I think a lot of people come into the field and they instantly want to put on this professional face and try and convince everyone that they know everything. And I found, for me at least, that it was a lot better being able to acknowledge the stuff I didn't know and ask for help from the professionals that did know what they were doing. So then I was able to kind of learn from a professional perspective on things too, as well. So my first year really didn't do much, but I was able to at least acknowledge, what I needed. So from there, I was able to find a new company that was going to work better for me, and then, make the transition over there. And within the first 3 months at that company, I had already closed my first deal. So it really was just about acknowledging that, okay, where I'm at right now isn't working for me. I still want this real estate career. I still want it to work out, even though this first taste in my mouth of real estate maybe isn't the best. I see the potential. So I was able to make that move, and, just being in that office every single day, surrounding myself by $1 million producers. I was the only female in the office for the first, I think, 3 years. Wow. I was their first female top producing agent for, a couple years. We just recently have built this brokerage to, 50-50 female male. But in the beginning, there was only 8-10 of us. I was the only girl. So, to prove yourself amongst the men too was something that for me helped me a lot, because it was really motivating and humbling to surround myself by these top producing men and have them respect me on the same level that they respected each other too, as well. I think it's really important to surround yourself with people that respect you and want to help you, as opposed to, maybe the other office that I was in was a little bit more old school, where no one wants to help each other. It's dog eat dog in like the old school real estate industry. But now things are changing. And I think the older agents that can't acknowledge that and can't adapt to those changes are going to have a really difficult time going forward. Whereas these newer, younger agents, we are kind of now paving the way for what the industry is going to look like in the future in these next coming years.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is that, it went from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset in so much business. And even real estate 10 years ago, there was so much of like, no, I'm not going to help you with anything. Like, people didn't want to help each other with their clients because the risk was the client would go somewhere else. And there wasn't a whole lot of courtesy of like, let me do this as a favor for you because someday you'll do a favor for me. And then finding the places that do have that abundance mindset, it creates this awesome experience, right? And I really liked part of your story too, where you said you shared your goal and then people like laugh at you and tell you that. There's a lot of agents that would come on here that we say, when they first said they're going to be an agent, how many people in their life told them they wouldn't succeed at that? And a good friend of mine just posted the story on Instagram. 10 years ago, he said he was in this really rough place and kind of getting bullied and like kind of made fun of. And he posted on Twitter, like, in 10 years, I'm going to be more successful than any of these other people. And he reshared all the text messages and the tweets of them, like laughing at him and making fun of him. And then this week was the 10-year thing. And he's got that tweet from 10 years ago posted on his wall and all of them making fun of him because now he's crushed it. He said that he used that to drive him. So when you can take negative energy and use that as a driver, as a motivator, instead of having it set you back, like that's got to be one of your key weapons that's worked for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been through a lot, especially in the beginning of my real estate career. I had a lot of things personally that had gone on, physically, professionally. There's so much that had, gone on. And I went the other route than I think a lot of other people would. I think when you take something that's, you have so much built up energy, whether it's negative energy, positive energy, if you can put that energy towards something productive, as opposed to just, sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself, I think that's when the magic really starts to happen, because it's just so much motivation and passion going behind whatever that is. So, I mean, even for myself, like when I first was selling real estate, I think this was probably like my second or third client. I actually, it was in like a really bad area. I was taking whatever leads I can get, and I was actually jumped. I ended up hospitalized in a neck brace, just because of the area that I was in was so bad. So it was like lesson learned, but at the same token, I could have taken that and been like, you know what? I'm going to go try and sell insurance instead. I'm going to go.
Your second or third client getting jumped like that. Yes, that's a good enough reason to quit this business for sure.
And so many people were like, Courtney, what did you do to deserve that? Like everyone was pointing the finger at me, like I must have done something wrong. So that takes a lot out of you. So again, just to be able to take all that energy and passion and put it into something that's going to, get me better business, get me out of working in those terrible areas that are really dangerous for a, smaller petite girl to be working in anyways. I definitely had to learn the hard way. I think one of my favorite quotes that I always tell everyone, especially when I bring new agents onto my team, is they all see the glory, but they don't know the story. And it couldn't be more true. There's so much behind, the success that everyone sees on social media. There's so much more that goes into it that people just discount all the time. So, but I truly think that, going through those obstacles and those hard times are what molds people into who they are today, and what kind of gives them the tools to, get to where they are in the next part of their life. So for me, I mean, a lot of people, they thought for sure that I was just going to be done with real estate after that. Like that was it for me. But it really, truly motivated me a little bit more. And to be honest with you, the small lawsuit I got from it too definitely helped with me being able to like afford to, continue trying to build this career, because it's very expensive in the beginning. And a lot of people, they don't talk about that. When I first got into the field, this is like another story, is I had $10 in my pocket when I first started real estate. My parents said, you know what, you gave up law school. We did everything we could to get you into there. So if you want to try real estate, you're on your own. We love you, but you're now 22 years old. You are an adult. You're on your own. Figure it out. We paved the way for you and you chose to go a different route. So starting this career with just $10 in my bank account was very humbling for me, especially after getting like my first paycheck and my second paycheck. When I finally hit 6 figures in my bank account, it just made that process and the feeling so much better, knowing that I built that myself from the ground up, with everyone telling me, you can't do it. Are you going to stop? Was that it for you? It was really humbling for me to be able to see $10 in my bank account and $100,000 in my bank account within, I'd say, a span of 3 years, really.
Real Estate Rockstars. This is Amuchastegui with a quick commercial break with one of our newest sponsors. I'm super excited to be partnering with these guys. Does 15 to 20% ROI investing in turnkey rentals sound attractive? Did you know you can use the BRRRR strategy with new construction that has immediate equity already? You guys have heard me talk about stuff like this. Rent to Retirement offers fully turnkey properties that are newly built or renovated, leased and managed, allowing you to invest with confidence out of state. They have single family, multifamily, new build, and syndication opportunities across multiple markets that maximize cash flow, appreciation, and equity. Rent to Retirement assists investors in learning how to build a comprehensive business plan with the best investment and tax strategies to achieve financial freedom through real estate investing. There's no excuse not to get started in real estate investing when you have the right team and systems in place. To learn more, visit renttoretirement.com. That's renttoretirement.com or call 1-800-311-6781. That's 800-311-6781 to learn about how you can get started investing in some of the best cash flow markets today. And if you guys want to learn more about Zach, episode 1025, we dig in for a good 45-minute interview where he tells you the secrets to investing in real estate out of state. And him and I shared a lot of ideas about what works and what doesn't. You'll get to hear a lot about his company and his business. If you're an agent from out of state and you've got referrals looking for stuff, they work with other agents on a referral basis. And we've talked so much since COVID hit that everybody needs to have a backup plan, right? Every one of you agents needs to have a backup plan. You should all be investing in real estate. And if you're having trouble finding the time and the team to do it, maybe something like Rent to Retirement is the solution for you. So thank you for listening. Go check them out. Now back to the rest of our podcast. Yeah. That reset at 22 of like, now you've got the tools and can you start over and pull it off? So you talked about leads your first year. How did you get those leads? What were the types of leads you were working?
So I partnered up with this guy in the office. He's my real estate partner now. But at the time, again, just trying to figure out what I could do. What's my next step? So I was in the office every single day, just looking for work. And I could see this guy was in the office every single day, overwhelmed with too much work. So I just knocked on his door and I said, clearly you have too much work for the amount of hours in the day. And I'm looking for work. I have $10 to my name right now. What can I do to help you that's also going to benefit me? I clearly see that you know what you're doing. I respect you. I would love the opportunity to learn under, your mentorship. What can I do to help you? So he literally said to me, he said, I have a client. It's like an hour and 15 minutes away. She's a cash buyer. If you can go do the showing for me, because I don't feel like doing the drive, then we can work the deal together and we'll split it. So I got in the car. I drove an hour and a half to go show this lady on the other side of Connecticut. She ended up loving the home, cash offer. We got it accepted. And 10 days later, it was the biggest paycheck I had ever seen in my life. Yeah. So that for me was very motivating. I figured, okay, all I really need to do, again, relationship driven, is find people that need help. And then from there, I can start to build my own sphere of influence based off of that. And that's exactly what I did. I partnered up with this guy and I would help him with all of his deals. Every single time he had a lead come in, I would make sure it was getting closed. I was staying on top of him, reminding him, not letting him have any of these people fall through the cracks. And then I was getting paid like 20% on all of his deals when they closed. And at that point, I was able to gain the experience of just doing showings. I was able to gain the confidence of talking to people and projecting myself as the professional. And then from there, this was the real kicker, was I would go to all the closings and I would make sure that I took a picture in front of that house with the sold sign. So even though, I might not have been the agent that actually closed it, I wasn't lying. The house did just sell. So I would always make sure that I was going to those houses, posting a picture of myself with the sold sign. So then I could post it on Instagram, Facebook, even Snapchat, sometimes LinkedIn, and say to people, just sold, reach out to Courtney if you're looking to buy, sell, rent, or just vent today. And that was my thing, is I started to realize the more pictures with my face on them, I was getting a lot more likes. So I was taking with what was working and running with it. So whenever I had the opportunity to take a picture of myself holding the for sale sign in like a cute little real estate outfit, that's what I would go and do, because that's what I found was getting me the most activity. And then just based off of those, showing people that, hey, I'm closing deals. They don't know that like I wasn't really the one closing the deal. They have no idea. And on Facebook and Instagram, if you're not in the field, you really don't know. So really what I was doing was just going out and sharing. Like, even if someone at my company closed a deal, there was only 10 of us at the time. So I would go run out and take a picture, or maybe not even take a picture, maybe just share the picture on Facebook and say like, just sold, yellow brick real estate, blah, blah, blah. And people can do with that information what they want. If they want to think that I sold it, that's great. So that's kind of what I did, was I would just show people, hey, I'm out in the industry. Hey, I'm, involved in this, I'm involved in that. And people started associating Courtney with Connecticut real estate, which is my number one goal at the end of the day, is when people think real estate, especially Connecticut real estate, I want Courtney to be the first one that comes to their mind. So I was just continuously staying on top of the social media thing. And it slowly just grew into, this whole entire thing that my company executes now, my team executes now. I think I'm just starting to see a lot more real estate companies using social media, because I think they probably had the same mindset that I did with it, with, if we're going to do this and it works a little bit, then like, let's keep running with that. So for me, being 22 years old, knowing that everyone I associate with is on Instagram, knowing that everyone my parents associate with is on Facebook, I would make sure I'd post everything to Instagram that people my age would care about. And then I would post everything to Facebook that people my parents' age would probably care more about. So maybe the people on Instagram only care about the white, shiny kitchen, where people on Facebook might actually care about appraisal differences and stuff like that. So it was really trying to like play chameleon. And I tell a lot of people, I feel like there's a lot of psychology that goes into this business. And the more that you can really utilize the psychology in this field, I think the more successful you'll be. Again, so it was just kind of tailoring where I was promoting myself to certain people. My friends are going to be more first-time home buyers. My parents' friends are probably going to be, listing opportunities. So I tried to market myself differently to the different markets that I know are on those platforms, if that makes sense. Even so much as I think I sold 5 homes this year from LinkedIn alone, just from staying in front of people on LinkedIn that I went to college with, that maybe we don't follow each other on Instagram for whatever reason, but we happen to have each other on LinkedIn. So again, it was just picking which platforms I wanted to post certain things. I post photo shoot content to my Instagram, but never to my Facebook. So again, there's a lot of psychology that goes behind it. I personally believe, and that's where I see a lot of success from too as well. But social media really has been my biggest thing. I'd say I probably close 90% of my deals from Instagram right now, and maybe another 5% from Facebook, and the other 5 just from, word of mouth, friends, family, stuff like that. But for me, it's all social media right now. And I think it's partly because of the age group that I'm in. Mm-hmm. I think that has a lot to do with it, because that's just where people are right now.
Are most of your people, first time buyers? Are most of the people your age that are finding you and asking you to represent them in a purchase?
Yeah, most of my people are first time home buyers. And that's what I'm really excited about. I know a lot of agents, they really like to try and get listings. But for me, I think being a younger agent, first time home buyers is the smartest route for me to go, because I call it the double dip, right? So maybe I get these people into a rental first to get out of mom and dad's house. Then in 8 months, I reach back out to them and I say, okay, we're going to start your home buying process now. We get them into their first home. On closing day, I'll give them a binder with all the information on their home. And I'll say there, okay, in a couple of years, when you guys are ready to have me sell this and move on to your dream home, we're going to go back and reference this binder. So hold on to it. So I'm kind of assuming future business. So now I got a rental out of them, a first time home buy out of them, their forever home out of them. And then the goal will be, once their kids move off to college, then we downsize them. So for me, I think the first time home buyers are the best route to go, because you get so much guaranteed future business, at least if you're doing your business right and that you're going to get return clients. I'm pretty confident when I sell someone a home that when they're ready to sell it a couple of years down the line, they're going to call me to list it. So my thing is, if I can get as many first-time home buyers right now, then that means I have future listings. That means I have future people that are going to be looking to downsize, which is also more listings, more purchases too as well. So again, relationship driven. I truly think that getting people younger is just going to extend my business more. I really like to know, okay, this person is going to definitely buy a house this year in the summertime. So those are some guaranteed paychecks that I'm going to have in the summertime. So this way I'm able to kind of map it out. I'm selling these people homes now. So I don't know, maybe in 5 years, I'll make it my plan to reach back out to them to see if they're considering, listing and moving on to their forever home or upgrading or something like that. So I know a lot of agents, they love the listings, but for me, I don't know, I love the first time home buyers, and they're so appreciative and they trust me. Again, being a young, smaller girl, it's hard to get some people to take you seriously in this industry sometimes. So I found a lot of success in first-time home buyers, and I have a lot of fun with them. And I don't know, it's great. I love what I do.
Yeah. There's so many things that you just talked about there, that are so many strategies that are totally examples of why you're succeeding. Right. And so many things that I think a lot of agents need to hear. I'm going to unpack a couple of them, really quick, a summary. So how long did you do the 20% deal where you were like, hey, let me just help you get your stuff across the finish line and I'll just get 20% of your commission with the guy in your office?
For a year till I started getting my own business.
There are so many agents that are stressed out and don't want to join a team and don't want to work for somebody else when their share is even more than 20%. And you being able to play the long game a little bit and go, hey, 20% is better than nothing. And and even if I'm helping with that deal and I'm not getting paid a ton of money on the deal, it's more than I was getting paid before, but I'm also going to make sure I get everything out of it. So you were going to the closings, you were going and doing the pictures, you were going and putting it out there. And especially if you're going to first-time home buyers, your story, even right as you portray it, is exactly right. It could be no, I've been helping this guy do his deals. but I'm going to really represent you well, because you'll be one of my first where I get to just focus on you, or I've been practicing for a while. Like being able to do the deals for such a small percentage is, those team mentalities or the commission structure for early on in real estate stops so many people from being successful, because they turn down opportunities to work for small amounts of money with the idea that they're going to get there. Another example where you use that was doing leases for people. Like there are so many people that, like, there's a few agents I've interviewed over the last year that they started with that. But there's also an attitude of some agents that say, I don't want to work with young buyers. I don't want to work with first-time home buyers. It's going to be too much work. Or I'm not going to work on leases because that's going to be too much work to go do it and make any money. But you're looking at that like, if you do the lease, yes, that's a lot of work for a smaller paycheck, or it could be. But then when you go help them buy a house, that's actually pretty easy. That's an easy formula. Like you help somebody with the lease, and 8 months later, you say, let's help you go buy a house now. Or you buy the house, and on closing day, you're saying, hey, in a few years, I'm going to list this for you, and we'll pull this out back then. So that way there was a couple times that we sold someone a house, right? Represented both sides. And a few years later, they sold it to somebody else. And they said at that time we were essentially, we would buy beat up foreclosures, we'd fix them and sell them. And when we asked them about it later, they said, oh, we didn't know that you actually would want to sell this. We knew you were so busy with with the properties that you owned as a developer. And it was like thinking just that simple little thing that says, and hey, in a few years, when you sell this, I'll be ready to help you. Like just that little thing, they would have been like, oh, you also do that. That's great. I had no idea that you also did that. I think those are kind of some great things. And also what you said about like Instagram versus Facebook, right? There versus LinkedIn and versus YouTube. Every place has different content. And I think that there's a lot of like data providers. I mean, Instagram even makes it really easy right now to say, post this exact same thing to Facebook. And the lazy part of us wants to go like, yep, put it in both places. Right. Or to even say, and you could post it to Twitter at the same time, right? Do you want to, but yes, what I post to Instagram should not go to Twitter and Facebook at the same time, because it's totally different content, totally different stuff that people want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And people they have a hard time differentiating that and acknowledging that. They think it's just as easy as a click. And it's really not. There's a lot more that goes into it. So, I mean, my goal is, I know I'm doing a lot of social media right now, just trying to scale and get as much more business as I can. But I'm really trying to build this database that I have, so I eventually don't have to be doing all of that. And I eventually can just be running off of all the referrals that are coming in. But I think you have to acknowledge, especially being as young as I am now, I'm 27 now, but still, I think you have to acknowledge where you're at, right? And be able to say, okay, I haven't been doing this for 50 years. I haven't earned the right to, just be basing my whole career off of referrals. Maybe in 15 years, 10 years, something like that. Great. Then maybe I've earned that right. But right now I'm still earning the right to be able to do those things. So I think being able to be very realistic and humble. There's a lot of agents in my office that, they did 20 million last year, which is amazing, but they're not doing much now because, they just think that having that title as a $20 million producer is going to always be able to get them business. And unfortunately, it's not. You still have to keep moving. So I think that's what's going to separate a lot of the customers from hustlers in the future, for sure.
Yeah. So 90% of your stuff comes from social media. Let's teach our listeners a little bit about that process. So you're sharing stuff on there. You're interacting with people. Are they sending you a message later and saying like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house? Do you have calls to action in social media? How do you take it from social media to a CRM? Sometimes.
So like, I don't like to present myself as a salesperson, salesy, but I do like everyone to know that, I am a real estate agent. So I try and only post stuff that people are going to actually care about. You'll see a lot of agents, they go through and they'll do like a 2-minute long tour of this, like, dumpy $200,000 house that nobody cares about. I'm selling dumpy $200,000 houses all the time, but like, I'm not posting it on my social media all the time because people don't care enough to see that. Unless you're like an investor looking for a good deal or something, then yeah, maybe. But I try and post stuff that I think people are going to care about. So, like last week I posted an opportunity. It was a 3-family home. So in the caption, I said, it was on my story. I said, you could live in this home, have your mortgage paid for, and profit $1,000 a month. Like DM me if you're interested. And I got 15 solid buyer leads just from that one Instagram story.
Wow.
Another example is like I put a poll up, a yes or no poll at the beginning of the year. And I said, are you interested in achieving homeownership in 2022? 80 people from that poll said yes. So what I did was I messaged all 80 of those people, and I didn't just send the exact same generic message to every person. I tailored it to, if I know them, if that's our relationship, maybe if I know the person well enough, I threw a LOL at the end or something. So you really want to personalize everything and make people realize that like you want to help them. You're not just a robot sending stuff out. So, maybe I messaged one person. I said, hey, John, I saw that you said yes in my poll the other day. Haha. If you're actually interested in buying a home this year, I would love the opportunity to help you out. Just shoot me a text and we can get the ball rolling whenever you're ready. And leave it at that. It's when you tell people, I would love the opportunity to work with you, I would love the opportunity to help you, they really reciprocate that well. Like, wow, this person really respects me and thinks that highly of me, that they want an opportunity to like help me buy a house. Again, it's like the psychology. So, maybe I said that to John, but maybe to like someone that I've been talking to for years that has been, just kind of on the fence about buying for years. Maybe I message them and say, hey, like just saw you said yes, like, this year's your year. We're going to do it. Let's get you pre-approved. Give me a call and I'm going to send you my mortgage guy's contact info. So it's like different for each person, but you're making sure you touch every single one of those people. If you have 80 people saying, yes, Courtney, I want to buy a home in 2022, I would be insane not to go message all 80 of those people. But that's the difference between very successful real estate agents and just the mediocre ones, is the mediocre ones will throw the poll up just to have fun. The successful ones do it with so much of a strategy behind it that, we're not just putting up polls to put up polls. We're putting up polls to try and get new business and try and scale our business for 2022 even more. So that's the difference, is you have to be able to put stuff out there that people actually care about. And then when they do reciprocate it, be able to convert that lead. So like, even if I'll post a house, I posted a house the other day and someone was like, what's the address? So I respond back and I say, oh, like this one, multiple offers are due by 5:00 tonight, unfortunately, but I'm happy. I would love to help you find something similar to this one if you would like. That's my like number one thing, is I'll post houses on my story. People will ask me about it and I'll say, oh, I'm sorry, this one's actually already taken, but there's a bunch of other ones really similar to it. If you'd like, I'll send you those and we can set up some showings this week. So just being able to kind of take something and instead of saying, oh, sorry, it's already under contract, being able to say, oh, well, I can find you something similar to it though, and getting them excited about that. Again, there's a lot of psychology that goes into it that I just don't think people realize. And a lot of people are, losing out on a lot of business just by not sending that message back. So it's not always just people messaging me saying like, hey, I want to buy a house. It's more so like they like a post or they click a poll or something and I reach out to them, or they respond to a story of something and I'm able to kind of convert it and move that conversation into a different route. So, but it's being able to like pick up those leads and keep them is what I think people have difficulty with.
Yeah. Those are some really simple to follow tips you just gave there. Like, yeah. I think that's great. Those, the two ones of, hey, here's a deal that's out there and here's the cash flow and who wants it. And then, it's just like Courtney just said, some like social media tips out there. People are way more willing to click on a poll than say, if she says, DM me if you want to sell your house, not very likely. Right. Yeah. But say like, hey, do you have an interest in selling your house this year? Hey, do you have an interest in buying a house this year, or making it sound cool, like achieving home ownership, right? That's not just buying a house. That's like you've reached another level of your life. Do you want to achieve home ownership this year? People are like, yes, it's so many more likely. And then being able to take that. So starting with a poll, you get a few people to like do those soft touches back, and then being able to reach out. I think any one of the listeners can go post a poll like that today. Right. And just try it. See how many people say yes, send them some messages and see what comes out. Courtney, this has been awesome. What are you going to do over the next year? What are your goals for 2022?
Oh my God. So I am in the process of getting my broker's license right now. So actually I'm taking that course within the next couple months. So I'm excited about that. I'm growing my team right now. So that's a really big thing. We officially have 11 agents on the team. This past year, we did 25 million in sales volume. So our goal is to do a little bit more, for 2022. So We're just building right now. I'm actually heading to the office from here. We're having it totally renovated right now. So I'm excited to see what work they've gotten done during this time. But just building, I am really appreciative to be here. I'm so appreciative to have, this title as 30 Under 30 Realtor Magazine. I recently won #1 real estate agent on social media in Connecticut too, as well. So that's something that I take a lot of pride in. Because I think that's where we all see the industry really is going and is kind of already landed at now. It's all social media.
Yeah, it sounds like you are growing, making moves. Before we hit record, I asked you, had you heard the podcast before? Had you heard about the podcast? And you said yes, and you said something about the concept of every agent kind of has a different story, has a different plan. Elaborate on that a second.
Yeah. So, when I first started getting into real estate, I quickly realized how differently everyone conducts their business. And I realized that you kind of can do whatever you want with this license. So I was listening to a lot of different podcasts because I was just trying to get different perspectives on how people conduct their business and how people achieve success in the field, especially being someone that came from nothing and had no handouts, no one in the field. It was really important for me to listen to your podcast and other similar podcasts too, as well, just to kind of compare and be able to form my own opinion on how I want to conduct my business and how I want to present myself. So we tried doing our own podcast too, called The Movement, for a little bit, but it came out to be a lot, but it was very insightful. And I think it's really good to acknowledge that you don't have to run your business like the person sitting next to you or the people in your office. You have to do what works for you. And I think that's what I quickly realized is whatever's working for you is what you really should run with.
Yeah, I really love that. So Courtney, there's going to be listeners that are going to want to reach out to you. There's going to be listeners that are going to want to send their Connecticut buyers over to you or ask you for advice or get tips on how to join 30 Under 30. What's the best way for people to reach out for you, and any final thoughts you'd want to give?
Reach out to me at my Instagram, Court McManus, CourtMcmanus. I am always on there. I also have my phone number, my email on there too, as well. So reach out to me through Instagram, and I would love to help anyone that has anyone relocating in Connecticut. Even just considering Connecticut. If you have any Connecticut referrals, Connecticut's a very small state, so we do cover the whole entire state. I would love to be your girl if you guys have anyone coming this way.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. You're saying to me, like Connecticut's a small place. Not a lot of people can say, when you think of Texas, think of me. When you think of California, think of me. No, if you think of Connecticut, think of me, and you will have them taken care of. Courtney, congrats again so much on the 30 Under 30 title. These are always really, really fun interviews for me because you got to talk today about goal setting. You got to talk today about taking people rooting against you as fuel to succeed, and so many different actionable tips, and not giving up when you can. I can see why you've done well so quickly in real estate and why you got that 30 Under 30. So thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Yeah, we'll have you on again. Real Estate Rockstars. Thanks for listening.
Have a good one.
All right, Real Estate Rockstars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also, we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate. How to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff. rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in 2 different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronamuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.